Hey, it's Adam with Tech Dive AV Club. We are in Vegas Image, and I wanted to show you some tips and tricks about making icons. First off, if this is your first time in Vegas Image, I have Vegas Image tutorials to get you started. So I'm assuming it's not your first time, that you kind of understand the layer system, the effect system, and things like that. I am doing a system where I'm copying some rights-free images, which are too small. I need them in exactly square formats. I need them like 1024, 512, and 256 exactly. And I need them to be just like clean, simple images. So what I'm doing is actually a method where I am tracing these pixelated, tiny, but free vector art images, and I'm kind of using that to upscale them and make them my own, maybe make changes and things to make them my own so I can have my own icon library, which is mobile friendly and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So to do that, let's talk about each of these layers and what I'm doing with them. So first off, this text layer, I had it because I needed it for one of the icons. I don't need it for the other, so let's simplify that. So this white layer right here, it is just a vector mask. I, especially because I'm going to use this with the Unreal Engine, need it just white because the white can be tinted in the Unreal Engine to be any color. But if I have the icon black or I white and black, it's going to cause me problems. I need a PNG with the see-through background. So the checkers means the see-through background. And this one also has a see-through background here, but it is pixelated. So this is my reference image I got above, and this is my, right here, my square to kind of give me my guidelines, because I've decided that I want them all to kind of fill about 80% of the square to the tips. Just as a rule to kind of keep them all uniform in size. So this first one's the simplest. It's just an area mask that I have. To add a mask, you just hit the plus button right here when your layer is selected. And I've added an area mask, and here you can resize it and change the gradients and things to get the exact kind of mask you want. I go up here to the blending layers, I move it 50% down. Now I can see this as a guideline when I'm resizing things. So here, let's go to the arrows now. Show you one of the great things about Vegas Image is that you can stack up all sorts of different images in a layer, which means you can kind of keep the same formatting. Now these are all different sizes, but they're just about ready to go because let's say this one right here, I can just resize it and boom, I've already got it in here how I want it, resized, ready to go. I can go back to the one we're going to do, which is the arrow, and I can resize it. And so if you're wondering, one of the things I've done is I've gone up here to grid lines, and I've turned on my grids. This is for this kind of work. Having the grid lines on is exceptionally helpful. So I've decided that it's not going to necessarily be a perfect, like no cutoff on the red, but just in general, like it'll fill the red. So I've got it resized. I've got my reference image here, and now I'm going to turn the red off and the white on. So you can see the problem with this arrow. It's just really gross looking. And what I can do is just go to mask, hit vector mask, and then I can just select around it. And you notice that with the curves, I'm not worried about trying to mimic another pixelated curve here. I'm actually going to let that be handled by the software for me. don't worry, you can fix this as you go. So if it's not exactly perfect, that is fine. So we're pretty close here. Now I've got my rough arrow. I've traced it, and let's get rid of the arrow. There we go. So now with this one, I can remove the softness, and now I have hard lines. And when I go to the vector mask here, you can select a point and decide how this point is to be treated. Path closed versus sliced path is whether or not something can go through it or not. We're not going to talk about sliced path today, but then it talks about how you can create the curve. You can make an asymmetric curve, a disconnected curve, a mirrored curve, or a straight. Straight's obvious, it's just an angle. We're just going to go with mirrored here, and we're going to see how it's got a nice little curve to it. You can grab the little edges now and move it around. I'm not going to do that though. I might scooch it a little bit, but I'm not going to really try to change the angle here. I'm going to select this one, mirror it, select this one, mirror it. You can see that I need to kind of cinch up my design just a bit. And I want this one to come out some. There we go. And voila. Let's scoot this in a little bit. So now if I click off the vector mask, you can see my arrow. And you can dress this up more, add more pieces, do more corners. So let's say you weren't happy with that. You can go back to your vector mask and simply add to the path. And you can create more mirrored lines here to help curve it out. Almost done. And there we go. It's a little gross looking now. So this isn't going to take too long to get cleaned up. I can cinch up my corners here. But now you can draw perfect vector images, vector icons. These can be any size. So yeah, since this is a vector, I've got the canvas setting at 1024, but I could have made this 50 times bigger and it would still be the right resolution because I'm drawing with vectors, a vector mask. So I can make these any size I want. So I'm making this the biggest size, but if I export it, when I export it, I'm going to export it as a PNG. That's the only way to like export it and leave the missing background. And I've hit the advanced export. So this you won't see this by default, but if you hit the button for like advanced details, then you can see all this, and you can actually change the resolution when you export it. So one thing I'm going to do is change it to 256. And now you can see, because I got it linked, this little link in the middle means that they're gonna match. It'll stay a square, and it'll change the entire thing to 256. So now when I export it, I can export it as arrow 256, and then voila. When I export the next one, I can just simply type 512. Whoops. And instead of having to jankily resize them, I will have an exact size, an exact pixel to pixel size of the vector image I want. So there we go. That is some tips and tricks for creating your own vector icons in Vegas Image. Thanks so much for watching. This is TechDevAV Club. Got more Vegas tutorials coming out. Been a little bit of a dry spell. That's going to change. See you next time.